It's August 14th, and welcome to episode 95 of the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Reese Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Next week, we'll be live from Hotlanta before our Freight Movement BCS Road Tour event. So I'll be joined with Whitney Johnson Cowell. We must have run out of space on her name there. Jenny Malafarina and myself will be, obviously I'll be joined by myself. We'll be chatting about marketing and just the industry in general. We may pick up a few other folks as well if they're in the area. But I think industry marketing is the topic for next week. And looking forward to that one. We've never really cracked that, even though we've had Jenny on the show a number of times. Jenny is my partner in Freight Movement. And of course, you've seen Whitney doing her coffee chats and helping us out. And she's part of the Virago marketing crew. So looking forward to that event. The following week, we'll have on Hellbent Hagen. So we do have a card for that. I didn't ask. So I was throwing the ball there. So Jamie has been on the show before, but just for a few minutes. So just a brief moment. I believe he was on at Broker Carrier Summit in Fort Worth, Texas, just about a year ago. And Jamie owns Hellbent Express. And if you don't follow him on social media, you should. He's a Mac aficionado and a fuel mileage wizard. And Jamie and I will easily eat up an hour chatting. He's already told me he's probably going to be in a truck at this time, so we'll have to pull over. But this will be a good one. I love talking shop with everybody, and just Jamie and I will have a great conversation. Last time I saw Jamie was at Matt's, so at our Freight Movement after party at Matt's. So here's the list of events that GLCS will be attending through the end of the year so far. I'm not going to go through them all. We've kind of went through them so far, but McLeod User Conference, we will have a booth. Trimble Insight will be walking. But there'll probably be a few more events added on top of this as well. But as of right now, this is where GLCS will be over the next couple of months. That end of October is a busy, busy week. I'm flying from the West Coast to the East Coast. I'm bouncing all over the place all in a couple of days. So that'll be a crazy and wild one. August 21st, Freight Movement is taking over Atlanta. We're locked in at the New Realm Brewing Company. Ooh, apparently we're using that one. So I'm going. So apparently that guy's going. So there's another guy that might be going too. Who knows? We'll see. We're locked in. So 6 to 9 p.m. The event is posted on Eventbrite, and we'll pop it out there in the comments for anyone who cares to join. Well, also, as of yesterday, we've locked in a DJ. So that's just hot off the presses, and we're looking forward to that. So I think that DJ can also flip to karaoke, but that I think is going to be up to everybody that comes. So you might hear a little piano man or whatnot. I think Dan Lindsay and I have a tendency of making that happen. So does Charlie Dahoney, but Charlie's not going to be there. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll have that DJ for the 3 hours, so it should be a good event. And right now we're sitting at pretty good attendance, so definitely ensure that you get a ticket if you're thinking about coming. We have a capacity, I think, for 125, so definitely sign up. There's the link right now. September 21st, exactly 1 month after the event in Atlanta, we have another Freight Movement event, this one in Aurora, Colorado, at the Gaylord Rockies from 8 to 11 p.m. after the opening session of the McLeod Conference. We'll have some golf simulators open, and we're looking to wind down the first day of the conference with who's who of the industry. Attendance is limited for this one, so be sure to sign up. Attendance is very limited, actually. We need to, there's going to be some rules on how you actually get in to the McLeod conference. We'll post a link on that one as well, but there are going to be some rules on who gets in. Only 100 people can get in. The golf simulators will have some rules to them as well. We hate having to put in rules. We're in trucking. We don't like that, but we learned this at Manifest when we had probably 400 people we were trying to squeeze into a 100-person space, that we're going to do our best to accommodate everybody. It's the largest space we could get at the Gaylord, so we'll do whatever we can to accommodate as many people as we can. All right, on to the show. Life tried to bury this guy. 4 cancers, type 1 diabetes, addiction, and he dug his way out with his bare hands. Then he laced up and started stacking some wins. Over 100 Spartan races, marathons, ultras. He doesn't motivate people, he rewires them. He takes your excuses, feeds them to the fire, and hands you back a blueprint for relentless execution. In freight terms, he's not here to patch the tires. He's here to build a whole new rig and run it flat out in the hammer lane. He's a master of extreme ownership, building wolf packs that win together in any market. So grab your popcorn because Nick Klingensmith is locked in for the next hour. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nate. That was a wonderful intro. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. So it's great. You reached out a little while ago, and it just so happened we were scheduling for third quarter, and it's great. So I'm very glad you're able to join us today and make this work out. I think you have a wonderful story, one of tenacity, amongst many other things. So excited to chat with you over the next hour. We haven't had that chance to. That's two people in 2 weeks now that I've not had a chance to sit down and really sit with before. So this is a good deal. So Nick, what was the exact moment that you decided that this was kind of enough, and that kind of snapped you
definitely
into
excited
that?
to
I think we're getting some feedback. So you are you coming around? Well, as Nick's working out his details here, so we'll see it one way or another. So,
oh, we're back.
Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me now?
I actually can. I lost you for a minute there, and so
beautiful. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if that was on my end or your end, but my end, after almost 100 episodes, I've not had hardly any technical issues. And then in the last 2 episodes, it seems like we're having plenty. So let's kick this off with a question here. What's the exact moment that you decided that enough was enough, and you needed to move from survival to kind of owning your life?
I am still catching some buffering issues here.
Okay.
I heard you say something about a question and then owning life.
All right. Fair enough.
Oh man, I am sorry. I hope it's
all right. Seems like it's on your end. So if you want to maybe bounce out and come back with a lower resolution or something, and I'm going to talk some news for a little bit and maybe check that. I'm not sure what's going on. So So we're going to skip ahead to news right at the moment. So the news this week that we're going to run through. So in a kind of a weird thing, and I was going to talk about this. So Matt Dahl was just moving to Chattanooga, which kind of brought this up to me. And he was just leaving from the airport and said he got stuck on an Uber as this rainfall was happening. And so he sat for an hour in traffic, talked to a truck driver as this was going on. Then they started clearing out the road. And then, as you can see here, this kind of went wild. So 3 actually, unfortunately, died on I-24. And I mean, Chattanooga is not new to a crazy rainfall or anything like that, but this is kind of nuts. So, but and if you read Matt's post, he ended up getting out, talking with the truck driver. That truck driver ended up he was an owner operator. He had hauled some freight for HD ships, so it was a good conversation for him over that hour. But kind of wild flooding. So, and we've seen this flooding before. I think just the other day we had some flooding in Chicago. We've had flooding elsewhere, but this is kind of wild. So, and as we're working on getting Nick back here, I guess it's best that this one started out with a wild connection. So the other one that I'll go into, it just is going to be more of a monologue. We've done full episodes on this, which is, the ATA's push for, this is a FreightWaves article where the ATA's push for teen truckers will make a capacity glut worse. And this article, I think, was written by Craig Fuller. And it says, that there's a driver shortage. And I've talked about this, that there's likely not a driver shortage. And I do agree with that. However, what the ATA is really looking to do here is create a path forward for the industry to where, right now, if you actually look at who joins the industry, it's people who are well established. Typically, this industry gets second career drivers. So you'll go out, you'll do another career for a while, you'll come back in at 24, 25 years old, and you'll eventually, take a position as a driver, come into an office, whatever the case may be. But you typically are not taking a role after high school in transportation and logistics, even though in many cases you could. However, as a driver, there is no path forward. There's no way until you're 21 to be able to take a position and at all. So what the ATA is looking for is a path for you to go from 18 to being a driver, whatever that may be. And there's been test pilots along this way, test pilots throughout the U.S. that have been used. We've had Gartner Trucking on, who's had several drivers that have been very successful this way. So really what we're looking for is, how do we bridge the career path from 18 to 21? Not necessarily how do we flood the industry, because there's not going to be a substantial amount of drivers coming in from 18 to 21, but simply, how do we create a career path that's meaningful for people once they graduate high school? So we actually get intentionality around careers instead of people who go out and become a carpenter or become something else and then decide that they want to come back in and work in transportation and logistics later on in life. So I think that's truly what things are coming in. So I'm going to bring Nick back in. Hopefully he's got a good connection. Can we hear you now, Nick?
Fingers crossed.
All right. Good deal. So you got any comments on this article? I know, hopefully you heard that.
I heard most of it, and I'm gonna baffle you because most people won't say this. I don't know enough.
Fair enough. I appreciate that.
There's a lot of complex issues at play, so I don't know enough.
I appreciate that. So no problem with that answer. We throw the news up there and we see where it goes. So All right, now we'll start. So, and we'll kick off with that first question. So where was the exact moment that you decided enough was enough, and you kind of snapped from that survival mode? You've been through a lot, and I know you've been on a lot of podcasts, so I'm not going to necessarily ask for the Nick Klingensmith, Smith, excuse me, um, history lesson here. So, but when was the moment that you decided enough was enough, and that you wanted to move from survival to taking ownership of your life?
That moment came when I first realized that I was playing the victim. And that was the first most important thing is I had to realize that I had been playing this victim mindset my whole life. People ask me all the time or say, I wish I was tough like you. And I'm like, that's not how I was. I had played the victim through everything, through cancer, through diabetes, through loss, through injury, etc. And when I found obstacle course racing and I started these new habits and I started down this path of improving my life, everything was getting better. Mind, body, spirit, career. It's like I was really finding my speed. And that's when I was hit by a car for the second time. And I was in a severe car accident. I got permanent nerve damage. I mean, this was the worst day of my life. All right. Like I went home that day and my cat of 12 years died. The 12 days later, the lady who hit me died. All I was doing was sitting at a red light and I felt responsible. And so in that moment, I felt like everything that I had been through, everything that I started doing in this better life that I was living was all of a sudden not real. And I basically threw a glorified temper tantrum at that moment. And I just decided that I'm not going to be a victim anymore. Whatever the circumstances, I am responsible. I'm not going to let cancer control me. I'm not going to let diabetes have power over me. I'm going to help other alcoholics get sober because that's how I recover. And it was in that moment that changed my mindset forever.
No, I think everybody that elevates in their life has those moments, and it's that moment of truth, that move forward of whatever it may be, where you just gotta button it up. So, and that doesn't sound like a great day, so I'll agree with you.
I think the biggest thing is I had to accept. I'm sorry. I was going to say the biggest thing is I had to accept that this was my life, and I wasn't going to change those circumstances. I couldn't, and so I could decide to live my life despite those circumstances, more like in spite of those circumstances, or I can just live in a bubble and be a victim my whole life.
That's something someone a long time ago taught me to say, and so, or so what, at the end of anything. So, the moment that you're finding you're in a tough time, you just, or that you don't like something, you got to add, and so what, so something's happening, you don't like it. So what? So what is that? Is it that big of a deal? Is it something that you need to fight through? Is it something that you need to take legal action on? Or is it something that you just need to double down on and create more effort around and ignore? In a lot of cases, in my opinion, in business, in a lot of cases, you get all this noise around you. There's competitors, there's people that are maybe coming after you, whatever the case may be. Maybe they're not. Maybe it appears that they are. You can create a lot. You can use a lot of energy worrying about that. And instead of focusing that energy on whatever path you should be on. So, and so, or so what is something that I use all the time. And it's a sanity check too. Something that just simply, if you don't use that term, you're going to stress out. I mean, the bigger you get, the more that you're dealing with the challenges, and you're doing a lot of challenges. Something that you did recently on Facebook, or you probably put this out on multiple mediums, but I think I saw it on Facebook, was just take it a breath at a time. And that resonated with the, and so with me, or whatever. So talk a little bit about the take it a breath at a time.
I'm going to actually start with what you said, because the first question to ask yourself when you're going through these things is, what can I do about it? Number one, yeah. And so how important is it? But then what actions can I take? And Oftentimes, there is no action we can take. We have to suffer. We just have to endure it. And the way that we do that is by simply taking one breath at a time. A lot of things I do, I train in the morning, I run, I swim, I bike, and it's just me in the darkness. And so I have a lot of time to think. And from the moment I wake up, it's sort of a positivity practice because I'm thinking of something to talk about. And a lot of the things I'm going through or talking myself out of a bad attitude, and that particular day, as I'm learning to train for the swim for this Ironman, and I'm doing the longest distance yet, and my swim technique isn't all that great, I just kept, and it's a long time to just have your head underwater, right? Like I was in there for 40 minutes. So I just kept telling myself, one breath. That's it. All I have to do is take the next breath. And not for nothing, as somebody who's been in business now for less than 2 years, and I think you'll understand this, when you don't know where the next check is coming from, how else do you get through that day? I can panic, but what's that going to get me? And so you just take the next action. And sometimes it just comes down to the breath.
Yeah, no, I agree. So so there's something that my team hears from me every once in a while, maybe not as often as what they used to, but it was simply, can we get this one thing done? Can we do this one thing? Or can we take the one step? It's the same concept, right? So I can appreciate that and why it's not the physical note of it. And it's the same concept. Can we do one thing? Can we move one thing? Back in the day, can we get this first load right? When I was running trucking companies, I want to get this thing done. Do one thing. Don't worry about the 1,000 things that we need to do. Let's worry about one thing. Then let's worry about the next thing and the next thing. And then next thing you know, we're at 1,000 things. So absolutely. So you say fear is, oh, go ahead. I think we're experiencing more delay. So I'm gonna hit you with another question and hopefully you hear it. So you say fear is is a great obstacle. What's the first, I think you call it a fear rep, and something that someone should do by a certain time of a day, and how do they know that particular rep kind of works?
Well, I'm going to blend answers there because you and I were talking before the show about somebody I work with, and I mentioned about breaking things down to the wildly specific and stupidly simple. And I talk about overcoming obstacles because overcoming an obstacle is the same, whether it be out on a mountain somewhere, climbing over an 8-foot wall, or a business obstacle. The process is the same. And we have to identify what is the challenge, what's preventing us, or what do we need to acquire, skills, resources, time, strength, etc. And then what is the wildly specific and stupidly simple? And I mean, like, seriously, make that first step so unignorably easy. Schedule it, Google it, or now I would say, chat it, whatever, or do it right now. And oftentimes, so I put out the audio version of my book, Selling Inspired, for just before BCS. And I put that off for almost a year because I didn't know how to do it. And so I literally was like, all right, you know what? The easiest thing I can do is ask AI. And so I am going to schedule 5 minutes to ask AI. Well, when I did the thing, I just wanted to know how to do it. I ended up taking like the first 10 steps because it was that easy. So we just want to make it so silly. If you want to go for a run, just go get your shoes. So that said, if we're talking about fear, I talk about redefining the space that we live in. And for example, I am deathly afraid of snakes and heights, but I spend my weekends crawling around swamps and climbing up mountains, and climbing over 8-foot walls and climbing up 25 feet rope. I'm not going to go handle a snake or all of a sudden be a snake guy. I'm not conquering my fear. I'm moving beyond it. And so I don't like to use, I don't know what you would call not an entrepreneur, but whatever, a solo person. It's every day is fear. And so we have to move beyond it because otherwise those fears come true. right? I'm fearful of not being able to pay bills in 6 months. So if I sit and wallow in it, instead I have to address what is it that I'm really afraid of. And sometimes we actually just have to get real with ourselves, because the thing we're afraid of is how someone else might think about us, or how we might look in a certain situation, or things that quite honestly are none of our business and just are noise.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you want to call it, I respect anyone that throws that ball, that flexes in that direction. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're trying to do. If you've done any amount of research, you are throwing the dice in a manner that are likely to fail. So you have a 90+% chance of failure. I know I've done it lots of times. So not only fail, but I've started lots of businesses. And once you do it and you start winning, now there's also different categories of failure, right? So I've failed in epic ways, and I've failed in not so epic ways. And the not so epic ways makes you stronger, so you can actually win stronger. But so when you start saying, I don't know where I'm going to make it in 6 months, to that point, when I started GLCS, I was sitting in a parking lot of a Target, and I came up with the name, which wasn't an acronym at the time. And I had to come up with a name because I had a deal, and I got the deal. And then I'm like, well, this is going to last probably 60, 90 days. And then, we're on our merry way. And that was 9.5 years ago. So we're not usually trying to figure out what we're doing in 6 months from now. We're trying to figure out what we're doing in a year or so from now, but that's how it works, right? You start out, you're at a particular thing, and it's, what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow? And to be honest with you, though, there's different aspects of it. From a strategy standpoint, you're trying to figure out what are you doing today? What are you doing next year? But from a cash flow perspective, in a down market, sometimes you're trying to figure out how you get to tomorrow. So you have multiple different aspects of it. You have to be thinking about, how do I impact my customer base over the next 12 months? And then how do I make it cash wise to tomorrow, so I can make my mortgage payment or make my car payment, or whatever the case may be. Whatever, you look at lots of our customers, which are trucking companies, technology companies, brokerages, whatever they may be, and they're having those conversations with themselves right now. So you can take that pipeline paralysis, and which is just simply, I don't know how I'm going to get there, or deal with it one breath at a time, and which is that daily piece, right? How do I get to tomorrow?
I would actually interject in between them, just one action at a
Sure.
time.
Absolutely.
The breath at a time is how we endure. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are sitting around, waiting for the market to improve, and they're going to start throwing parades for themselves when it does. But in all actuality, nothing changed, and they're not taking any different actions. And when the market goes the other way again, as it will, they're going to be right back in a desperate situation. So it's the actions that we take that change our results, one way, shape, form, or another. And a moment ago, damn it, I had a thought. Sorry. It was, you brought something up that I resonated with again. Okay. I have to have the vision. I have to have the purpose. I have to be able to see myself being successful. And you're right, success is a moving target. My financial success peaked like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. My career success probably peaked a decade ago. My relationship success peaks every single day. It gets better. My impact on the world improves every single day. So there's my health and fitness. That's a moving scale. So, how you measure success. Also, success is not a one-time thing. I'm going to live for hopefully another 40 years here.
Right.
So at what point do I think I'm going to reach the mountaintop and then just chill? There's always another mountain to climb, another skill to do, or something to achieve, or something to experience. And there's always going to be another obstacle to get there.
Absolutely. And I'm approaching 50, and some people look at that and they go, whoa, you got 10 years. But I pay a lot of attention to Gary V, and 60's not what it used to be. So, there's a long run here, folks, and I'm not one to stop. So there's most likely a lot of runway past 60. So, there's people who, I mean, obviously, if you're in a financial position, you want to hang your head up and be at the top of the mountain at 60, then that's beautiful. But you want to keep climbing mountains at 60, then go for it. So I just listened to this guy who's 96. He golfs every day, and he gets up in the morning. He has an 11-hour day that he works, and he gets up in the morning. He spends most of his day, he has a regiment that he goes through in the morning, and then he goes and he does a round of golf every day. And then he comes back and he takes like a 2-hour nap, and then he spends the evening doing a few activities and whatnot. And then he goes to bed and he gets up and he does the same thing every day, but he's like 96 and he does this. You wouldn't have guessed it. He looked like he was 25 years younger than what he was, but 96 and can still move around a golf course. And that's just crazy wild. So I hope I'm 76 and able to do that.
I'll tell you what, when I was a competitive beach volleyball player in my 20s, I'm 46 now, and I would have thought this would have been just death. Like, what do you do at this age? You die. That's all there was left to do. But when I started doing obstacle course racing, there's so many incredible warriors who are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years older than me. One of my friends is a guy named Paul LaChance. He's 84 years old. He does more Spartan races than I do. He's also got a full-time job.
Yeah, that's wild. Wow. Well, Nick, we're going to take a quick break. If anybody has comments or questions for Nick Klingensmith, queue them up, send them in. When we get back, we're not going to news because we took care of that already, but we will continue on with our conversation when we get back. If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the fast-paced world of trucking and logistics, time is everything. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep transportation and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them. With our industry connections and proactive approach, we keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise. And we're back. So Nick, you're doing some stuff. You started out our conversation in the green room like a lot. I think I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. You said a lot of people don't even really understand what I do. And so I'm going to actually just pass the mic over to you and say, let's just touch on that specifically. Cause to be honest with you, you're all over social media. I kind of pay attention to you. You're a motivational guy. So I have my own little story there. So, but pay attention. So tell us specifically, what your company does. You said you started that 2 years ago. But what services you provide for your clients and what you're looking to do and expand to do.
Absolutely. Above all else, I'm a motivational speaker. So I speak keynotes, conferences. I speak to sales teams, speak to leadership teams, and I share my story, which is really one of a mindset shift from victim to victor. And then I also share messages of resilience and purpose and extreme ownership, things that obviously resonate with me deeply. And I do this by telling personal stories that others can relate to. Now, that said, I've got 25 years in sales, 20 of it in logistics. So I also like to speak to sales teams where I talk about those messages and principles, but get a lot more tactical. And some of that involves setting big goals, breaking them down, and of course, the mindset shift required to get there. The second thing I do is I do coach. I work with individuals. I've worked with the teams before, and I'm not a Sandler. I'm not a sales trainer 101 or anything. That was my prior life. What I really like to work with people on is, again, the mindset shift of taking ownership for themselves. And I just want to make one, I was just thinking about something during the break, how I ruled my life from spreadsheets for so long, because it's always about our weekly goals, our monthly goals, our quarterly goals. What's our weekly revenue, blah, 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 right? And we train people in sales in particular to really live that way. But the fact is, it is a long-term career, and we can't live and die with every sale. We can't live and die with every quarter. And so some of the things I talk about are developing that mindset for the long haul.
So that's interesting. I'll jump on that one for a second, because that's my life in general. Creating relationships. I mean, I have thousands of people that I know, and I probably know them better than most. And that's, you just develop the relationships, and eventually that maybe you do business with them, maybe you don't. Somewhere down the road, somehow that may flourish, whatever the case may be. But it is wildly powerful to have a strong network, and I'd say that is something I ask everyone to do. You can't put enough time into relationships. You just can't. So that's kind of the angle you're taking, is build that, but don't necessarily. I mean, don't go transactional. Look at the relationship first. Am I putting that right for you?
Definitely. Definitely look at the bigger picture for sure. And whether it be a sales opportunity or just a networking opportunity, because again, the people that, a couple people that I actually coach, I literally assign them networking conversations. I'm like, this is what I tell them. If somebody hired you right now to come in and create a new team, if you don't know the 5 people you would bring with you right now, you don't have a network. And if you got cut from your job right now, you don't know the 5 people to reach out to and say, hey, I just got cut. You don't have a network. And that's just an example, but understanding that we do build these relationships for the long time. And it's not about what can I get from it, or even just what can I get from it. We don't know where they're going to go. We don't know where the industry is going to go, or other ways that we can benefit one another. So building a wolf pack, building a tribe, building a community. And another huge part of that too is just to know that you're not alone, right? What you're experiencing is real. It's not just a LinkedIn post. And also, when you talk to other people and it's not just transactional conversation or talking about the weather, you maybe start talking solutions instead of problems. And the same thing goes on the customer front as well. Once we get down those guards of the feature I'm trying to push on you, or the defense that somebody else might be playing, and you realize that we're looking for solutions for the long term, you take a lot less pressure off of having to force a square peg into a round hole.
No, agreed on that completely. So I love how you kind of listed that out. If you end up in a scenario and you don't have 5 people to call, you don't have a guy. If you don't have a guy or a girl to call, then you don't have a network, right? And there's a gentleman many years ago that I'm going back to Rolodexes, right? But he had a Rolodex, and that was this massive. He always had a guy, and that was someone who his name was Gary Morgan, and we work with his company still. He unfortunately passed away a number of years ago, and his son runs his company now. But Scott's his son. But Gary had a guy for everything. He'd say, "I got a guy," But this is 20 some odd years ago, before social media, before everything, and he was the inspiration for me to just always figure out how to. You always got to have a guy, right? Or a gal, a girl. So whatever. Let's not be sexist. So the reality of it is, that network is so important. So I just 100% on that. So for whatever need that might be, it definitely strengthens sales, but it strengthens the career as well. So, and I think that's something that employers have to look at 100% is the individuals and strengthening them. That's something that we certainly do here. But we've got to invest in individuals as much as we invest in the company to a certain extent. Maybe it's a 60-40, but we certainly need to invest in individuals and make them stronger. That only helps in the long run. And in some cases, people may leave, and that's okay as long as you leave on good terms, because where they go, there's going to be bridges built to that organization potentially if they stay in industry. There's lots of possibilities that can develop by allowing those things to happen with respect and integrity.
I mean, I spent 14 years at one place, and leaving there was the months before I left were miserable because I knew it was like being in a bad relationship that nothing really went wrong. It just wasn't working anymore. Right. Like there was nothing wrong with my job. There was nothing wrong with the company. It was changing. It was going kind of a different direction, as companies do as they evolve and grow. And the funny thing is I thought I was going to die there. And I used to tell people all the time that, if you want your path to continue with the company will change. You'll have to change, blah, blah, blah. But I also said that it was going to be okay. Not everybody's path is going to end up in the same place. And I never really realized that I was talking about myself too. And that's why it took me a few months to get there. And when I did, it left on very good terms and, began to move on with my career and their valued network and friends and people that I still continue to support and cheer for. And so there's definitely ways to do things that I didn't retire there. I'm not going to die there. And most people aren't either. At 14 years is unheard of. Tell me somebody who's graduating college right now who will ever put 14 years under one logo.
I think there's very few people today that put 14 years in any company. I would have loved to. So, but I didn't get the opportunity to, because either companies sold, merged, whatever the case might have been. And so the two companies that I would have put time into changed too much. So there wasn't the opportunity to spend that time in. So now 9.5 years of GLCS, but I own it. But there actually are quite a few employees here that are at 8, 9 years, 7 years. So we have quite a few. So it's pretty rare to have that. But to your point, not very many people coming out of college spend more than 2 or 3 years at a particular location. I think when you get more senior, you end up having to kind of lock in eventually. You may only spend 3 to 5, but we're not seeing the 20s, so you definitely aren't seeing the teens very often. So it's pretty unheard of. So,
and so that just goes with the whole. Just like with sales, you got to think about the long haul, because I'll tell you what, I mean, changing jobs is hard. It's exhausting. It's stressful. It makes you question yourself. You have to learn all new things, new relationships, and new challenges. And so it is a stressful thing that people don't necessarily. Who wants to go through that all the time? But if you're gonna make money for the rest of your life, it's the endurance that we have to. And so I'm at the point now where you want to stack the wins, but I'm not living and dying by every single one of them.
Yeah. Well, being in a sales career and switching from one sales job to a different sales job, and it even if you're in the same industry, I mean, selling freight is selling freight. The only thing you have to do is understand the differences between the companies that you're going to. It's a little bit easier on that side, but there can be some big differences if you're switching from modes. If you're switching to bigger organizations, there can be some differences. But switching from complete different industries or even technologies, you're talking a year till you get back up to path. So it's not necessary as a sales rep. switching is not always a great thing, even though it can be really, really hard to stay. So I mean that's a topic. It's a topic that's been broached with me many, many times here over the last 5 years. So there's been lots of moving around.
And here's what I encourage people in that situation, because this is what I learned in my last few years in logistics, was that because when I published my first book, Through the Fire, in 21, I knew what I wanted to do. And because I knew what I wanted to do, I no longer liked what I was doing. And it's hard to, especially because when challenges come then and everything else, it's real easy to validate your excuses and take your foot off the gas. But I realized it was going to help me get to where I wanted to go. Financial stability, the people I would need to meet, the relationships, the experience and knowledge, all the things that you can glean from your job, because for most people who are listening and most people out there, you're not on your last job. So it's not just about surviving it. It's about what else can I gain from this experience while I'm still here, regardless of what's going on. How do I allow this to make me better? How can I springboard into the next part of my career instead of just constantly chasing the next salary package?
I think you just said something that definitely is a core portion, a core piece of my being, which is when you figure out what you need to do, whether it's what you need to do as a person or just a goal you need to achieve and it needs to happen, it can't get out of my head. So when this is something that I need to do, this is something that we need to do as an organization, whatever the case may be, and it just won't leave my head. All things then have to line up to achieve that goal. So sometimes that's painting a target and then building backwards. Sometimes that's a group of micro events that happen that then paint a target. But most of the time it's I paint a target and then build the structure to get to that target. But it's simply, I want to achieve something. How do we get there? But you definitely know that it's something you have to do when you think of something and it just won't get out of your head. And it's almost impossible as a human being to do anything else but focus on it. And I was out with a group of guys this weekend golfing, and one of them said, it's Charlie Dehoney said this. He said, if you can't get this out of your head, to somebody else that we were with, he said, if you can't get this out of your head, give me a call. I'll help you figure it out. And he's 100% right on that. When that just gets stuck in your head and you can't get it out, you have to do it. You have to figure out you're passionate about it. It's where that passion comes from. So what you just said resonated the same way. So how has things been going for you for the last 2 years? So you wrote the book, you've taken the movements, you're doing your own thing. How's it going?
Well, let me give you two answers. One, sure. I'm wildly purpose-driven and mission-driven, and I'm incredibly fulfilled. I learned more about the transportation and logistics industry in the last 2 years than I did the previous 18. That's just because once you get outside of the 3PL walls and you really start getting to know people in the different areas of, you just understand there's so much more besides what happens in a brokerage. So, but it's the people. It's the people I've met, what they're going through, the relationships I've met, like people that we both know that, I did not know of several years ago. And that, again, they may not know how I make money, but they know what I'm about. And my circle is awesome in that sense. And the people I've been able to speak to and help along the way has been incredibly fulfilling. I love waking up every day. It is sure different to grind away selling me speaking to someone than it is to sell a product and then hope that it all goes well. So that part's been awesome. I'm learning the business of it, etc. Learning the business of it. I'm not very good at it. But we're back.
I think we're losing you again there, Nick. So
But
I think we completely lost you now. Well, audio a little bit. I heard we have you. So
gotcha.
All
right. So I left off with are we on?
I think so. Keep talking. So I'm
Cool.
seeing
Well,
you
that
now.
was the end of it. So that was the
All
part
right.
where
so you're learning the business part of it. Yeah.
And obviously I have a long way to go on that. I think my approach to the business has been through networking and finding the right audience who needs the message. And then obviously now I think that I've been at it a while as a salesperson, I've been able to sort of package it up and talk about it now and actually start selling myself and selling my services. So that said, I still have a lot to learn and I want to move a lot faster, but the books are out there, but the books again are about the message. I don't know if this is something that I would do for free if I could, but since I can't, I don't.
Well, yeah, who can do anything for free? I mean, unless you're naturally wealthy, it's a rough one to be able to do that. So the books can be found on Amazon, is that right?
Yes.
I think. Okay.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because both Selling Inspired and Through the Fire will both be free for download on Amazon all next week. So if you've got the Kindle app or if you've got a Kindle or the free Kindle download, both books will be available for free.
Excellent. So we'll see if we can get some links on there and pop them up on the YouTube, LinkedIn, and X here, Facebook also. So we'll get those up so people know where to find them. So so what's next for you? What do you have coming up in the near future? Any events, any conferences that you're hitting up?
The two things I'm most excited about right now is Ironman Belgrade coming up next month.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Doing that with Alex Bates and Michael Bart. We're trying to raise awareness for Project 61.
Yeah, I remember talking to Lombard about that.
I'm very mission driven, and
I remember talking to Lombard about that back at Matt's, and then we never actually picked that one back up. We were going to try to figure out how to help get you guys there, and then we never really had more of a discussion on that. So I'm glad you guys figured out all the stuff on that. So I'm glad you're going.
Well, we'll talk later because we didn't actually figure anything out yet. We're just sort of running real hard on it. So, that said, because I remember he mentioned the conversation you guys had, and then we just put that video out, and now it's sort of let's figure this out fast. But I'm training regardless. I figured that I just need to be ready for the event, and I want to make sure that even if the finances don't work out and I don't end up there, it's about the cause, it's about the mission, it's about the awareness that we want to raise. And I think our first just putting some content out there has been wildly helpful. So that's what I'm really excited about, to be part of that. And I appreciate Alex reaching out to me and having me be part of that. At the end of the month, though, I'll be traveling up to Alabama, speaking to the leadership team over at Best Way Rent to Own. So I'm pretty excited about that from a professional standpoint. So we'll be talking about sharing my story and again, really focusing on just the power of personal responsibility.
Oh, that sounds great. So perfect. So yeah, let's definitely chat about Belgrade. When is Belgrade? That's the end of September?
Middle of September, yeah.
Middle of September. So that's right around the corner. So
yeah,
that's you blink and that
that's
happens.
logistics.
So, yeah. Gotta go, gotta hurry up and wait. So yeah, that so yeah, let's definitely chat about Belgrade and see what we can do to get the message out there for you guys, and see if there's any avenues we can get to help that one out. Because the intent was to put any proceeds to Project 61, if I remember, but maybe that's not the intent anymore. I think
that's accurate. We basically wanted to cover ourselves to get there, and then anything that we can generate after, whether it be through sponsorships, donations, etc., everything's to benefit Project 61. And considering it's Serbia, this is not a high ticket item. It's
Yeah.
you would think that it would cost more, but it's actually very that's why Alex lives there, he says all the time.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So I know I've talked to him about it, and it's I think the flight was probably the biggest ticket on that. So, but
and I got two international
certainly.
airports within an hour and a half of me. So,
And you're in Florida, right? Is that?
yeah, I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
Okay, gotcha. So perfect. All right. So, anything else on your list coming up? Otherwise, tell us how people can find you, and let's wrap this one up.
Well, I don't have my agenda yet, but I know I'm definitely going to make a day trip out to BCS Orlando. So hopefully I'll be able to catch you or any of your team there, and anyone else that I can. I would definitely be remiss to miss that. So look forward to trying to see some people out there. And I am available everywhere on social media at Stride Motivation. That's Stride Motivation, as well as my website is stridemotivation.com.
Great. Good deal. Yeah, I'll definitely see you at BCS. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be there. Like I said, I gotta bounce from San Diego all the way to Orlando on I wrap up on Tuesday at ATA MCE, and then I hop a flight to fly all the way to Orlando, probably via Atlanta. So haven't got the flight yet, but that's going to be a hop. So I'll be there. So, but one way or another,
I'll make sure I line up. I figured I would be remiss if it's 2 hours away. I need to go out there.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, all right, Nick. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on. If you want to hang out, that's cool. Maybe we can chat a little bit about Belgrade. If not, we can chat again here in the near future to get the email. So, but really appreciate you coming on. Glad we made it through with the tech challenges. Hopefully it clears up with the files. Hopefully we get the files. So, but really appreciate the time. Love chatting with you. I feel like we could have chatted for another couple hours. So we'll definitely queue you up again to come back on the show. So you don't get to choose the market you're in, the luck you get dealt, or the obstacles that show up. What you do get to choose is whether you sit in neutral or slam it into gear. Fear is always going to be there. It's waiting for you to slow down, to hesitate, to let it drive. Discipline doesn't wait. Ownership doesn't wait. You want consistent wins? Stack the reps when it's boring. Keep going when it's ugly. Surround yourself with people who will drag you forward when you can't move yourself. Don't talk about how you'll get after it tomorrow, but earn it today when everyone else is making excuses. Build the habits, build the wolf pack, and run the hammer lane until you're the one setting the pace. The road's not going to clear itself for you, but you got to take it anyway. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.